Usher concert. So hopefully you had a good time. I saw your post. What's up, Sister Rera? What's going on with you? You'll be touching up on this real quick. What happened with Waka Flocka? I saw Waka Flocka was trending. What happened? What happened with Waka Flocka? I don't know. I didn't get a chance. I just got back online not too long ago. Shout out to my people coming in on YouTube, guys. Make sure you go ahead. For my people that do come in on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and also comment on tonight's broadcast. I don't know what happened with Walker Flock. I'm gonna have to go ahead and take a look at that, but I saw he was trending on Twitter. So I'm not exactly sure if it was something in terms of music, politics, or whatever it was, but didn't get a chance to catch that out. So I'm sure somebody will get me up to speed soon on that. So not really sure what went on with that. You guys see the title of the room tonight. What's going on, Extreme X? The title says Democrats are hoping to bring in Gaza refugees to the U.S. If you're on YouTube, it says Democrats are looking to bring Gaza refugees into the U.S. So, hey, it's pretty much the same thing. So we're gonna touch up on that tonight. Get it up in the jumbotron. You guys will find the article for tonight's space podcast, whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna touch up on that and get everything rolling. I trust that you guys had a good weekend. I know it's been a lot of things going on in the world as well too. So much news and things going on, current events, world news, and everything else. So we'll go ahead and we'll touch up on this in just a second. Give everybody a chance to get up in the space. Thias, what's going on with you as well too? So Tony, definitely when you get a chance later on, let me know how the Usher concert was. I don't know if he was out there in Vegas. He still got his residency, but let me know how that was. I know a lot of the women are big fans of Usher. Usher did his thing, so I'm sure everybody had a good time. That got a chance to catch him out there as well too. So, and I didn't give last week. I didn't say, but rest in peace to the Isley brother that passed away. Was it Rudolph? Rest in peace to him. 84 years of age. So rest in peace, Isley Brothers. Of course, a legendary group, legendary group. So, like I say, guys, we're gonna touch up on this. There's been some back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. Of course, we know everything going on with Israel and Hamas out there, and it's a war going on, and as always with wars, you have refugees, and right now you have some Democratic leaders, namely Jamal Bowman, sitting up here saying that he believes that out of the 1 million Gaza refugees, that some of them should actually come into the United States of America. While you have Ted Cruz and a number of other Republicans saying, we agree to disagree on that part right there. So we're going to touch up on this really, really quick, get into it. Like I say, hopefully our people will be up in the space soon. And I definitely want to hear who's ever up in the space who wants to speak as well. This is one of the first times too that we got. I mean, it's nothing but sisters up in the space as well too. So hopefully the fellas will come up in here in a little bit. This article says Democrats asking for U.S. to allow some of the 1 million Gaza refugees into the country was from the New York Post. It's up in the jumbotron, curated on the Newstoter.com platform. Experts predict 1 million refugees might fly the Gaza Strip amid the war between Israel and Hamas, and socialists and far left lawmakers said America would welcome them. 50% of the population in Gaza are children. The international community, as well as the United States, should be prepared to welcome refugees from Palestine while being very careful to vet and not allow members of Hamas, said Representative Jamal Bowman, a New York member of the Socialist Democratic Squad who remains under investigation for pulling a firearm in the House Cannon Office building earlier this month. But Republicans have already slammed the door shut on the issue. Senators Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, Tom Cotton, Republican Arkansas, Mark Rubio, Republican Florida, and Rick Scott, Republican Florida, said they would oppose Palestine resettlement efforts here. The U.S. is the most generous nation in the world, but we are in no position to accept additional refugees, especially from a region with a high risk of terrorism, given our nation's inability to secure our own border or vet those who are already here, Rubio told the Post. Scott added that the entire focus of the United States right now should be on rescuing American hostages and making sure that Israel has every resource needed to defeat Iran backed Hamas and defend its homeland. Cotton said Iran should take responsibility for any Palestinian refugees caused by its proxy war with Israel. Iran is responsible for the death and destruction, and it should be responsible for refugees as well. The White House repeated and refused to say whether it would be open to accepting refugees from the conflict. We continue to provide support to Palestine refugees through the UN. A spokesman said the United States has a worldwide refugee resettlement program in partnership with the UN Refugee Agency. Mariana Dahan, founder of the World Identity Network, estimated the conflict may add over 1 million people to the already staggering number of 6 million Palestinian refugees in the world. The United States took in 25,465 refugees from around the world in 2022, a 123% increase from 2021, according to the State Department records. Approximately 170,000 Palestinians live in the United States, according to the census data. Squad member Representative Rashida Tlaib is the only Palestinian American in Congress and currently flies a Palestinian flag outside her House office. So that's where we're at today, guys. And how many times are we going to talk about this? We're talking about the actual influx of migrants or refugees into the country. And I know people say, well, these people are from a war-torn nation. And I can understand. I saw some of the horrific photos online, some of the children, some of the injuries and stuff like that. I was watching the world news earlier today, and it's a shame what's going on over there. And my heart goes out to anybody, and I feel for the families as well too. I feel for the kids. I feel for the all-out destruction that you're seeing over there. But at the same time, you can't expect the United States to always, to just carry the load on everything. Bowman, he's already come out and said what the United States should do. And you don't hear any other politician from any other country coming out saying, well, you know what, we should do this. I haven't heard anybody from Great Britain or France or Spain or China, Australia. I haven't heard any other person come out and say, you know what, it's a significant amount of refugees out here. We can't expect one country to harbor them all. Let us go ahead and we'll take X amount of refugees into this country. We'll do our best to go ahead and provide for them and give them shelter and clothes and food and let them restart a new life. I don't hear that. I don't see that. Jamal Bowman, and we had a discussion the other night, and we were talking about Black people. Should we support this or not? And true is told, we have a Black person that comes out before anybody else and saying what we should do in this country. First person to come out and say what should happen is a Black person who's going through his own situation up there as well too, his own with the firearm and everything else. I mean, so the fire alarm, excuse me. So he's at this point in time, Jamal Bowman really needs to go ahead and stay up out of it. And Ted Cruz and Tom Cotton and Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, they didn't waste any time to go ahead and let it be known how they felt exactly about the situation, because this is a polarizing situation. And they stood up quick and said, hey, you know what, we don't support this, we don't do this, we're not for this or whatever. Can't really blame them. Not a fan of either of those guys that I just mentioned. Being here in Florida, definitely not a fan of Marco Rubio or Rick Scott. But I do agree with what they're saying on this point as well too. We can't sit up here and, with a country that's going at war and everything else, we can't sit up here and automatically say, you know what, we need to go ahead and get those people from that situation and bring them over here and this and that. We have exactly no idea, the mindset of some of the folks that's coming over here. And I understand, like I said, I seen the all-out tragedy that's going on over there. I see the pictures, you see the families torn apart, but you cannot expect, and that's what you have the UN for. The United States is not the UN. The United States has to stop being the actual police of the world. The United States has to also stop being the Red Cross of the world as well too. There's over 100 and some odd nations that's on this planet. Everybody. There's plenty of what we call first class type nations that can take in some of these folks. And I know, and you all know as well too, just because we're saying it doesn't mean that the United States isn't going to take in some of these people. We know for a fact how things play out, that the United States is going to take in a significant portion of the refugees. I can almost count on that. I can't say exactly, I can't put a number on it, but you can bet your bottom dollar out of the 1 million refugees, I would not be surprised if the United States doesn't take in anywhere from 50 to 100,000. And I know people are going to say, well, they took in X amount of refugees in 2021 or whatever, because it says the United States took in 25,465 refugees around the world in 2022. And they said that was a 123% increase from 2021. So I'm sure that number was much higher than 25,000 as well too. I'm sure that's a safe, that's a small number. Factoring in the actual refugees with the actual illegals that come over here, that's a boatload of folks coming into the country. That is a boatload. That's a boatload of folks coming into the country, and that's a boatload of resources that you're gonna have to spend on those folks as well too. Fact then also that the United States, and now we're talking about them possibly going over there, sending troops over there as well too. So now you have the United States who's going to spend money, providing assistance. Now possibly you may be also sending troops over there, as if we didn't already get out of one situation. Like every time you look and turn around, the United States is in the Middle East in some kind of conflict, some kind of war, some kind of battle, whatever, sending American troops over there for things that some of these nations need to go ahead and handle themselves. They need to actually go ahead and start handling their own situation. But the United States is there as big brother to provide resources, to provide military aid, financial aid. So it never gets old. And now you have to a new generation. You had the generation with the Desert Storm back in 1990, 91. Then you had the situation back in the early 2000s. Now you got this situation here where you possibly might be sending more troops over there. So like I say, it never, when they say you can't get any peace in the Middle East, this is exactly what they're talking about right here. Because every time you turn around, every 10, 15, 20 years ago, it's some kind of conflict there. It's some kind of conflict that demands that the United States spends money or send aid through military, through weapons, through actual human beings, troops and everything else. Now you're over there and you're stuck in this situation. And we were over there for what, 20 years? So you hate to see this come about again. Like I said, I understand that the people, they need a place to go to, but there's over 100 and some odd countries on the planet as well too. And you can't expect the United States to house every single solitary refugee. That I know some people say, well, we're talking about some refugees. You need to have somebody that's going to take up the slack, and that can stand up and that they can actually house the majority of these refugees. Because let's be for real, the Middle East and Europe are not far apart. I mean, the Middle East is wedged in between Europe and Asia. So there you go right there. A significant amount of those nations can come in there and they can provide services. They can provide aid. They can also provide shelter to them. And like I said, I know before, you are going to have America take up some of these refugees. That's pretty much a given. That's going to happen. But people can't look at the United States to always shoulder the entire burden, which the United States shoulders the entire burden. They send more money in aid. They send more military weapons. They send their actual people over there. And it's becoming, like I say, for the last 30 some odd years, this has been a reoccurring theme in our country. From 1990, from Desert Storm to from Bush 1 to the second Bush to now, we potentially something that Israel and Palestine, who've been duking it out forever before any of us been born. Now you have to go ahead and perhaps intervene, and once again another conflict that they got going on. It never stops. It never ends. So you gotta ask yourself exactly how is this going to impact the lives of our people right here, right now, and it's going to have some impact on us financially. It's going to have impact when you start having refugees moving into your neighborhood. I mean, your tax dollars and everything else are going to be going to actually provide relief and help to these people as well. So not only for the ones coming over here, but also to help rebuild the actual countries that's getting demolished over there because of this conflict going on. And the conflict, who knows how long it's going to last. And if anybody has any family members in the military, I'm sure you guys are worried about them also being shipped off overseas as well too. In another conflict that has absolutely nothing to do with America, people saying that Iran is behind this and Iran should be doing this and doing that. Hey, if Iran has anything to do with it, then Iran most certainly can go ahead and take in some of these refugees since they're right there. This is a Middle East affair right here. This is not an American affair. Shout out to all my people coming up in the space too, guys. I see you guys coming up in the space. Shout out to my people over there in YouTube. What's up, Keith? What's up, Jeremiah? Machilla. Let me read a couple comments. Anybody that wants to speak as well, too. Definitely, I see Trouble up in here. No taxation. I am Harriet, Black Majority State, Original, Tata, Queen B, Carlos. What's up with all you guys up in the space? I know some of you. I know Original. Before it's all said and done, I know you definitely got something you want to add to this as well, too. So I definitely look for it. If anybody disagrees and tell me that I'm off and I'm wrong, feel free to come up here. I will definitely give you the microphone. Tell me, which your point of view on this situation. What do you think the United States should do? Is Jamal Bowen right? Should we go ahead and start taking in some of these refugees? There's going to be 1 million of them. If we take them in, what's the amount that we should take in? 40,000, 50,000, 20,000, 10,000, 100,000. How much aid should we provide to them as well too? Should we go ahead and once again send troops over there to be the bodyguards and the protectors and to come in there and also fight? Because that's exactly a possibility at this point in time. Nothing's in concrete right now, but that's definitely a possibility. Let me check out what a couple of our people saying over here in YouTube land real quick. Keith says, notice that they are not talking about the Black Israelites that were given 90-day notices to leave Israel months before. Jeremiah says, contradiction that the United States to take these Palestinians, the U.S. is arming the folks that is deleting them. The country got money for everyone except Black folks. Chair says the U.S. has spent $3.9 billion each year on Israel. Of course, the U.S. is biased towards Palestine. Both countries are anti-Black Americans. Also says Black Americans have nothing to do with their conflict. And, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But as somebody who has had family members serving in these wars since 1990, all the way to, the situation in the Middle East in the early 2000s and in Iraq and Afghanistan, after a while, you got to wonder. It seems like that's one place we don't mind sending our people to fight. So, it's a situation that constantly, every time we turn around, like I said, the last 30 years, and longer than that, honestly. I mean, when you look at those conflicts that they had in the 70s and everything else, the Middle East, they always talk about peace in the Middle East. That was the slogan. But there's never been peace in the Middle East. And there never will be peace in the Middle East. And as long as you got the U.S. around to go ahead and to back one group, then you can always have this back and forth as well too. So shout out to you, Keith. I see you over there on YouTube land as well too. Shout out to you as well. Bowman, he sticks his nose up in. Like I said, we had that space last week, the one before the actual Jada Pickett space. But we had that space last week, and we were saying, should Black Americans, basically, what was that space? Let me see if I can find the title of that space, because I'll be forgetting the actual names of the spaces and stuff myself too, but so many we do. Let me find the name of that real quick. It says Black American Debates Israel Conflict. So yeah, as we were debating this conflict, then we had a Black politician come up here and say exactly what we need to do as well too. So I haven't heard any politicians from any foreign nations like I said before earlier in the space, come up here and say, you know what, uh, being over here in Great Britain, I think we should go ahead and take him. No, I haven't heard everybody say, oh, we're over in France, let's go ahead and bring him over here. I heard anybody say, we're in Ireland, let's bring him here. I haven't heard anybody in South America, Asia, Australia, any other place say, yeah, we should go ahead and take it. And how ironic is it that a black person would go ahead and say, now I know a lot of people was giving Floyd Mayweather static, saying that Floyd Mayweather was wrong because he sent relief over there. I don't know if he exactly what Floyd Mayweather sent. I guess he sent some goods and stuff over there and on his plane and stuff. And people were saying that, Floyd, they kind of was making a thing about it. And they were saying he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that or whatever. If somebody wants to do something out of the kindness of their heart, guys, I don't really have an issue with that. If people are in a war-torn situation, I know people say, well, you need to worry about our people over here first. Agreed. But I don't know what Floyd does in his private life in terms of donating to charities and organizations and everything in over here in the United States in terms of dealing with black people. I don't know exactly how he impacts the lives of black people behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, I don't really know. But at the same time, like I said, if somebody, if he wants to take his money, he says, I'm going to donate over here in this war-torn area, I don't have a situation. I don't have a problem with that. I would like to see Floyd also have done the same thing over in the conflict in Niger. If you're going to do that, also, send some of that money over there to some of these black nations that have conflicts to this day. You got Haitians and stuff like that. So if you want to do it, if you're going to do it for foreign nations and stuff like that as well, too, nothing wrong with doing it for black foreign nations as well. So I don't have a situation. I don't have a problem with it. I didn't have a issue with it when he donated and stuff like that. People were saying he should do this, he should do that. First off, it's his money. He's going to do what he wants to do. But like I say, if you're going to do it, also, there's other nations out there, black nations, not to mention right here in the United States. Like I said, I don't know what he does with his money over here in America for black people as well. But, that could be a space for a whole nother night as well, too. Original, I know you had your hand up. Did you want to go in and say something? Because you got it. Okay, real quick, Original. Everybody, let's keep the cursing down, though. Go ahead, Original.
Oh, I don't think I've been cursing now.
No, it ain't you, but it's a bunch of people. But
no, see, I think what is with Jamal Bowman. See, I think he and quite a number of these black elected officials on the local, state, and federal level, they have gotten comfortable with the black vote. And I think that because now, I don't know if you heard, Newstoter, that there were quite a number of people on both sides of this conflict. They're concerned about how black people are looking at this conflict. There are some black people that are saying, we should, that they support whichever side. But then there are those like myself who are saying, I don't have a dog in this fight. We're saying that, both of these groups of people are anti-black racist. And so they're going to have to handle this themselves and leave us out of it. We're not coming in. We're not taking either side and nobody wants to talk about the racism that both of these groups of people have towards black folks. And how some of them, like some of these Israelis and Palestinians, when they come over here, they join in with the racist white folks to attack us. But yet we are supposed to stand in solidarity with them because they come at us from the standpoint of the Palestinians, especially, that they are an oppressed people. And so how can you call yourself an oppressed people, but yet you are oppressing the black folks over there in your land, country, whatever you want to call it? And so I think Jamal Bowman, he decided to take it upon himself to, I don't know what the demographics are within his district, his congressional district, but I do believe that, that's one of the things that I think that could be if the demographics in his district are majority black, I think that may have something to do with him having the position that he has. So that right there will speak volumes. Uh, that will speak volumes as to how he responds to this. Because I think I heard reports that there were. Well, let me say this. No, I don't think any of those people should be brought over here. No, I do not allow someone else to take them, because all these other illegal aliens that's coming over here, and 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 they just been allowed to walk over the border. But I think possibly, Newstoter, the Democrats may start having second thoughts. Now, I don't know if you heard that there was an election in Louisiana, a gubernatorial election, where the Democrat lost. Now, I think the Democratic challenger was a black guy, and they said that the black vote was like down 8%. They said, like, when they did the early voting, black people just wasn't coming out voting like they normally would. And now, considering how this issue with lineage-based reparations has been a hot topic, and the Democrats have not wanted to address that issue, and I think now I saw some articles saying that they are concerned now with the 2024 election. And see, you got all these people like the illegal aliens. Some of them are being disrespectful to black folks, but they don't understand they really need us, because if enough black people, whatever that number is, don't come out and vote, they bus going back to where they come from. Okay? Let's just be real. And so my position is no reparations, no vote. And I haven't seen a lot of I know I responded to something with, what's his name? The minority person in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries, letting him know that, look, this is a sign as to what's going to happen in 2024. We are no longer accepting your benign neglect policies. If you're not going to deal with us specifically, what you've done with other demographics, we're not voting. Plain and simple. They can take this any way they want to, but there is no way that I'm going to sit up and give up my vote, and black people don't get anything, but every other demographic are provided with resources. That is no longer an option for me. Now, anybody else, handle your business the way you want to handle it. That is your choice, but that's not an option for me. But no, I don't think these people should be brought over here, because we have black people that are out on the streets, that are out of work, and some of these black folks have degrees and still can't find no job. And so they talk about all these jobs. Now, I know it depends on what your skill set is, as far as, with certain jobs and things, but some of these black folks should be able to find some type of an administrative job or something, to provide for themselves and their families. But that seems to not be a concern, or we know it's not a concern for the Republicans, but it seems to be a concern for the Democrats as well. And they're supposed to be black folks' friends. So if you can't provide for my demographic, then my vote can't assist you in helping other people. That's just the way, things are now at this point. And so, did you hear about that news about the elections in Louisiana?
Yeah, I heard about it. And matter of fact, Jason Black had a space on it yesterday, to my knowledge as well too. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know Jason. I know he had a space on it. But this is going to be interesting. And I do say to Newstoter, if we organize ourselves correctly, this can be a win for us. But their main objection is to making sure that we don't benefit from our vote. And so now that we have them kind of like backed up against the wall, and if they want to bring these other refugees over here, it's going to be interesting. So let me see. Okay, Jamal Bowman is in the 16th district. Let's see. Let me see what this is in wide 16.
And real quick, guys, up in the jumbotron, I have a poll up in there. It's on the far right hand side. First on the right hand side, it says, "Should the U.S. take in Gaza refugees?" If you have not already participated in the poll, definitely go ahead and participate in that poll. Definitely go ahead. I think I'll put that poll on YouTube later on tonight as well, too, guys, for everybody up in the YouTube sphere as well too. But yeah, if you guys have not, definitely go ahead, participate in that poll, and also retweet out that poll as well too. Retweet it out. It's actually the second on the right hand side. So go ahead, vote real quick on it, and then go ahead and retweet it out as well too.
Yeah, I'll tweet that out. But Newstoter, Jamal Bowman district right here is saying is 32% black, 22% Spanish speaking, 5% Asian, and 37% white. So depending on the people, and especially the white people, depending on how they are responding in his district, could be why. I mean, how he's responding as well. But I know there were some people they just even there's not. I don't see where there's a lot of black people going either way. And so I'm just sitting back. I'm like, hey, they're gonna have to handle their own business. This has nothing to do with me. And so that's going to be interesting, and it's also going to be interesting to see how that election in Louisiana, how the effect that's going to have on the upcoming election in 24. So I will land with that, but I just want people to just be mindful of how powerful your vote is, because in 2016, control of the Virginia legislature was decided by one vote. And so if you communicate with some of these people, make sure they understand that the control of the Virginia legislature in 2016, that was when Hillary lost, was decided by one vote. So make up your mind, are you going to represent black folks or not? But that's going to be the determining factor of getting a sizable portion of the black vote in our land.
All right, thank you, Original. Let me go ahead real quick and read. I'm gonna get to you, Mel, and I see Miss Wilson was saying on YouTube. She says all of these entertainers are on code with the white supremacy system. I guess she was talking about in reference to Floyd and the actual the stuff that he sent over there to the Middle East as well. So I think that's what the sister's speaking on as well too. Mel, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
Hey, shout out Newstoter, doing fine. I just came up here real quick. So, quick question: is this Democrats are hoping to bring in Gaza refugees? Is that something that you're thinking is what's on their mind, or have we seen just some headlines? Or
no, Jamal Bowman. That's what he was saying, that we need to go ahead and bring in some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, he was, and then you quickly had Ted Cruz. I don't know if you was in here when I was reading the actual article. You quickly had Ted Cruz and Tom Cotton and the senators in Florida, Rubio and Rick Scott, definitely against that.
Oh, okay. Because when I saw this headline and heard some of the discussion, it got me to thinking, like, is this something they're trying to manufacture? And is this why all of a sudden we're hearing black people, y'all need to get behind these people, y'all need to get behind the Palestinians and the this, that, and 2/3? Is that where this is coming from?
Well, I'm gonna say this right here, Mel. Who knows? But I know this right here, right now. The White House, when they've asked them about that, they've been kind of quiet about it. They've been kind of mum. They haven't said anything about it as well, too. So you kind of hearing that, you kind of seeing that and stuff like that. Because of course, we talked about Amari Stoudemire in that space, right, how he was going off on everybody. So yeah.
Right. Well, my thought too is just like how we got Ice Cube, who I don't know how that happened, but he's involved. And then you have what's my boy's name? We can't think of his name. No Taxation knows him real well. I forgot his name. He's a celebrity, and he's involved.
You talk about Isaiah Washington?
Yeah.
So what Isaiah saying about it?
Well, no. I mean involved as far as like issues.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
But they're making their presence known on certain important issues specific to Black Americans. So that's what I mean by that. So he's involved. And then you had the guy who I think right around George Floyd scenario where he paid all I think it was 2019 graduating class of Spelman, I believe it was, paid all their student loans off.
Yeah, that's a bit. Robert Smith.
Robert Smith or something. Yeah. So we've got to get more high-profile individuals promoting and advocating for our home Black American issues, because I was talking to somebody last week, and I said, this thing with the, with this migrant thing specifically, here in Chicago, they're getting all this money, this, that, two. There's, I said, I asked her, so well, what are your thoughts on that? She's like, well, they're here, and they're human beings. And you know what? I couldn't disagree with her. They are human beings. They are here. But we still have to continue to remind people that we've been here. And these people are coming in now, and now we've got resources immediately being taken away from Black Americans just to provide to these immigrants. So we need stronger voices, and maybe we have to rely on the private sector, the celebrity sector, to be that voice, to be that advocate on our behalf. Because this crap has to stop. And the truth of the matter is, these folks are here, and right now they're taking up all the resources. They ain't shit stopping it. So, we got to slow it down. We got to do something, but it's just unfair. It's unfair. So I'm gonna land right there.
All right, thank you, Mel. I'm gonna say this right here. The celebrity class and stuff. I don't know if really they're gonna really speak up against. And let me just say, I don't have an issue, with people getting relief and stuff like that. War torn country or whatever. I don't have an issue with that. Now, when you're talking about, because I feel for the people. I see the kids, and I see the elderly, and I see them all on TV. I see, people, broken up and everything like that. So I mean, I don't think any of us are cold-hearted to the point where we would say, well, hey, we don't feel for somebody going through something like that, because I definitely do. I don't think that you can just house everybody in the world, and then that's my problem right there. Whenever something like this does happen, now you have all these nations that talk about being first-class nations, first-rate nations, and this and that or whatever. But when you have a situation like this happens, it's always expected that the United States is going to step up front and center, grab the bull by the horns, take the lead, take charge, and go ahead and smooth everything out. They expect the United States to do a number of things. They expect the United States to provide financial assistance. They expect the United States to provide military intervention. They expect the United States to provide a shelter and a place to live at. They expect all of these things from the United States, but they don't expect it from all these other first-rate nations that, beat their horns and beat the chest and tell you how great they are and this and that or whatever. And the high standard of living they have in these nations and stuff. You don't hear all these other nations. And like I said, the Middle East is wedged between two continents. Now, whether you want to say Eurasia, whatever, it's wedged. It's wedged there. I mean, it's Europe and it's Asia. So before we get to North America and all these other places, you have some destinations right there on that land. You can also get military intervention from these other nations as well too. It doesn't always have to be the United States stepping up front and center. And not only that, once again, like I say, for 30 some odd years, been involved in military conflicts over in that area, endangering the lives of Americans and stuff. Palestine and Israel, they've been having this before we were born. So now you got you've had 3 generations of Americans who've served, 2 generations. Now you can potentially have a third that have served in these type of conflicts, dealing with the Middle East.
The thing about war is it's a moneymaker, and the United States gets, they get the lion's share, is my understanding. We've got the weapons manufacturers and the ammunition. I mean, I think we got the stronghold on all that right here in this country. So that's why, it's always good for us to do it. And I think the biggest problem is, and this is the part that's so really aggravating, because I appreciate everything you said too, Newstoter. It's not like we don't care. It's not like we don't have empathy for the people whose condominium just got blown the hell up to smithereens, and now they all out in the rubble and nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Damn. We don't want to see nobody like that. We ourselves don't want to live like that. It's the fact of the matter that the conversation is being crafted to keep out our ability to say, hey, wait a minute, y'all keep passing the buck around us. We understand you want to take care, and that's the United States, claim to fame. Oh, we take care of everybody, because those other nations don't do it like we do. We do that. We're good at that. That's what. But the point of the matter is that there's no room there's no room for advocating on behalf of Black Americans. So when we do it in a small group or in a large group, it's all of a sudden we're anti-Semitic, or we, blah, 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 instead of having the same voice that's showing compassion and thus and so on these immigrants. There's no voice speaking like that over us. And if you notice, white people are not, maybe now, but white people they're not getting passed over. They're not complaining about, you understand what I mean? It's specific to Black, us not receiving shit and everything being given to these refugees, even though at this point, yes, white people are feeling it, but they're not feeling it the way we feeling it. They're not getting it the same level that we're getting it. So there's that.
Absolutely. And like I say, I agree with you. Like I said, we have empathy for anybody. We can feel and everything else as well too. We see situations going all over the world. And another thing I think that kind of bothers Black people too is, like, you see it in these darker nations, you see it in these Black nations all the time, but it does not get the coverage. It does not get the outpouring of support from everybody. It don't get the kind of outpouring of support from other Black people. You don't see other Black people. You don't see these Black major celebrities on TV and stuff saying, you know what, I'm taking my jet down there to Haiti this week. Haiti ain't nothing but a hot skip and a jump from the United States, and I'm gonna go ahead and, with all of the stuff that's going there, with all of the wickedness and this and that, and all of the people suffering, let me go ahead and I'm gonna send a couple $1 million down there to take care of these people. You didn't see that with Niger. You don't see that. You didn't see that over there when you had all of those civil wars and stuff with what was it? The one. Oh, damn.
Trump did them paper towels over there in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. Is that what you're talking about?
Over there years ago when you had the hotel in Rwanda, the one the movie was based on. You don't see all these Black people sitting up here saying this and saying that and stuff like that, and you don't see people taking these sports leagues and entertainments taking a knee for these people that's going through it and stuff like that. It's only a select few. Like you saw the outpouring of the outpouring of support that Ukraine got when them and Russia first got into it. You don't see that with these other nations. They don't care when it comes to these blacker, darker nations and stuff like that. Even our own people, like I say, major celebrities and stuff like that. And this is kind of offhand, but I'm going to use it anyways to tie it into what I'm saying. Yeah, the tutu now. Look at, and like I said, I know this is kind of a different comparison, but I'm just going to tie it in anyways. Deion Sanders, I grew up watching Deion Sanders from the time I was a boy in elementary school. Love Deion Sanders because Florida State fan. So, major support for Deion. But all of these Black celebrities now are coming to the University of Colorado football games. All of them. Deion coached at HBCU for 2 years, and he had them winning. At no time did you have all of this outpouring of support, and forget the major white stars and stuff like that, because of course Colorado is a majority white school. I think you only have 2-3% Black people at the school or whatever. But when he was at a HBCU, when he was doing this thing with Jackson State, you did not have all these basketball players, all these ex-football players, all these rappers. You didn't have all of these people showing up until he actually went to Colorado. So, like I say, even though you talk about everybody else, our own people, when it's time to get the limelight and everything else thrown up on them, they come and stuff like that. And like I say, and I'm proud of what he's doing. I didn't have an issue when he left and went to Colorado. A lot of people did, but I didn't. But at the same time, when I see it's looking like the Colorado football games, and let's be for real. I remember when Colorado was a good team in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Colorado never had the kind of celebrity push that it has now with Deion Sanders, but you could not get that at historically black universities. They was not showing up. You weren't getting LeBron James and Lil Wayne and Vivica Fox, and you were getting all these people going to the Jackson State. They wouldn't even come into the homecoming games like that, mind you. We know homecoming is where you're supposed to have everybody dressed up and coming out and this and that or whatever. So that just goes to show you, like I say, it's one thing to get the attention, like when you got Ukraine, and now you got what's going on over here in the Middle East, and it's getting an outpouring of sympathy from everybody. You're having a moment of silence and this and that, whatever, but you don't see that with these other nations. There is no moment of silence for what's going on with that conflict out there in Niger. There is no moment of silence for any of these black nations throughout the world globally, because these nations, let's be for real, they don't matter, and they don't mean anything to the general public, not even to the people that look somewhat like them. Paris, I know you had your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, hi, how are you tonight, Newstoter?
Hey, what's up?
Good, yeah, I just want to, it's very important that people realize the differentiation. I'm here in New York, and I'm dealing with these people from the base level as an educator. And so when you have that mind's eyes view, you're dealing with the family, the paperwork, the history, stuff we can't report on. And I just want to say that a lot of the people that are here in New York, they're not coming from a situation that's going on in Palestine. I'm not here to say whether or not the Palestinians should be allowed to come here, but I'm just letting you know there's a difference when you have a woman from Russia who came here because her husband cheated on her, and so she lived in Turkey and vis-a-vis and ended up here. Yeah, there's a difference. If you come from Venezuela and you just want to come to work, from a person who's coming from a country such as Palestine, where bombs are being thrown down on you, or Afghanistan, where, the terrorists took over and Biden pulled out in a horrible way, in my opinion. I see it. I know it. I know that the family's histories. I know what's going on. And I think that we really need to start to differentiate. Unfortunately, there are people who are here who are not, who, in my opinion, and many educators and many people's opinion who are dealing with these families, we're like, well, you're just here for economic gain, and it's different when you are being killed in your country. So that's all I wanted to say. And I think that we really need to understand that. It's a difference. Thank you.
Hey, can I jump in real quick, Toto? I want to ask a question.
Real quick, Mel, and I just want to say this. And I get what you're saying, Paris, but you do realize that you have like a nation like Niger who's over there fighting and everything else like that. You have some of these other nations, and I use these black nations as an example as well too. When you've had civil wars that were going on for 10, 15 years, a million people dead and stuff like that. So I use them as an example too.
I understand that.
And I'm saying that they don't get the same grace. And they don't get the same sympathy.
I totally agree with you. But what I'm talking about is the reality of what's going on here in New York. We have thousands of Venezuelans, people from I'm dealing with the people that I'm dealing with here and now in my classroom, and their families, and Russia and Ukraine. And I'm telling you right now, Uzbekistan, they did not come from the same horrific events that these people in Palestine have come from. I know, I totally agree with you about Africa, but this is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the people that are here in New York, a lot of them, I just feel like most of them, I know this, I have to deal with their parents. I got to deal with their parents. I know their stories. Yeah, your husband cheated on you in Russia. Oh, you don't like Putin? Yeah, all right, fine. you're here. Really? So that's different than having a family that's been bombed on in Palestine. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Paris, based on what you're saying, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with you on that. And even though you're making it specific to New York, they're all over. These immigrants are all over the country. I get what you're saying. What I'm trying to clarify is, and I hope I'm wrong, but the thing is that these immigration has run over Black Americans for years. And so at some point, and we're at that tipping point now, at some point we got to say, wait, hold the hell up. Because we cannot, as Black Americans, we cannot continue to compare someone else's trauma to ours and qualify their trauma as greater than ours. Because, yeah, they might be in Uzbekistan and bombs are bursting on their head, but that same Black American family who is under a damn viaduct and shit's falling, it's raining, hard-ass raindrops or, icicles and shit. I mean, it's the same difference. You cannot compare the trauma. So I hope that's not what you're doing. And
no, that's you totally misunderstand.
Okay, no, that's why I wanted to get into
you totally don't. I'm comparing the people that are here already,
right?
Who, in my opinion, and many educators and many people here in New York feel like, why the hell are you here? To the people in Palestine, I'm not saying they should come, not at all, but I'm saying there's a difference when I'm seeing people and I'm looking at paperwork and I'm like, what the fuck? Or I'm speaking to a parent.
Real quick, everybody, let's try not to drop any F-bombs and let's watch the language real quick. Go ahead, Paris. You can go ahead, Paris.
Unmute your mic, Paris.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, I was saying that I'm comparing those two parties. I don't feel like because your husband cheated on you or you had some drama with a man or you didn't like Putin that you ended up here. And I'm comparing that to, for example, a child in my room who came from Afghanistan, which was a terrorist situation or a Palestinian situation. Those two are the two that I'm comparing. That's all I'm comparing. That's it. I feel like the American government did a total disservice by allowing people to just come here, not just New York, right? Other states, but coming here and they're seeking asylum. But what are you seeking asylum from? What are you seeking asylum from? This is bullshit. Many people are just coming here to work. Here in New York, we have many Uzbekistans, many Russians who are coming here. They already have family here in Brooklyn, in Brighton Beach. They already have jobs set up for them. So to me, it was like, this is like an ultimate, just a reason to get out. It's all economic. And this has been also all over the news. This is an economic situation going on here. That's different than when you see people coming from a place like Palestine. That's all I'm saying. Where your life is being I'm not even talking about Black Americans right now. I'm talking about the two parties.
Right. And now that you've clarified it, that makes sense, and I see what you're saying. And I would also add on to your point by saying that if the United States would actually, if the United States had handled immigration properly to ensure that people can come to this country on an as needed basis, like immigration was designed to do coming out the gate. If America was on top of that, if America was taking care of its citizens, there's no reason why all of a sudden we get bombarded with immigrants. Now people get these bright ideas to say, oh, hey, let's print money and come up. If you could do it then, you could have got these citizens out from under these damn viaducts, and you could have had them gainfully employed, and you could have improved their lives. So don't wait until some immigrants have some issues. You force them in here, and then you cut off aid that was never being provided to us to begin with. But now, like in Chicago, you're cutting off Section 8 housing. And people wait a million damn years for Section 8 housing. Now you're cutting it off completely so that you can give it to the immigrants. That's unfair.
And Mel, this is the point I'm piggybacking on.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is true, and I've been yelling this for months.
Yeah.
As Hart, I see who's in the room, knows it. I'm living with this shit right here in New York right now. I guess the
Hey, everybody, real quick. Let's watch with the language, okay, everybody? But go ahead.
Okay. The bottom line is, my opinion is, of course, I believe that Americans come first. But then after that, who's more deserving? And it has not followed that route. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing when I'm speaking to parents or I'm speaking. Who's more deserving? I have a child from Afghanistan. I know what went on there. I have other people from other South American countries riding around on mopeds. Please. So we're in total agreement, Mel. And thank you. And Newstoter, sorry for you.
No problem. Just give everybody heads up. Everybody, please, if you can, watch your language. Not if you can, but please watch your language. I know we get into it sometimes, but go definitely. Let's not drop any F-bombs, and let's try to keep the cursing not only to a minimum, but keep no cursing if possible. So I want to go ahead. I'm going to get to Najee. I see you up in here, up in the Jumbotron, guys. We got the YouTube channel. Please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel for all my people that's listening on YouTube. Definitely go ahead and click the notification bell. Go ahead and leave a comment, like it, share it. If you have not, please go ahead and subscribe. Definitely go ahead and subscribe. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today. So for those that can support us, if you have $1, and I'm just saying $1 that you can support, please definitely go ahead and donate it to us. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you do not have a Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. For all my people on YouTube, the Cash App is on the actual screen, and the actual Venmo and PayPal is in the description. Let me go ahead and get to Najee. Najee, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on? I just voted on the poll, and I voted no as far as like Palestinians being allowed to come to the United States, but for reasons other than Black American concerns. I just feel like Israel is basically trying to basically clear that land and make it they want that whole land to be a Jewish state. So that's my reason why I don't think the Palestinians should go anywhere, and they should just basically stay there and fight for those reasons. As far as like with the United States and putting America first, like these politicians is clearly shown that it's not about America first. And you have basically like, two tiers of immigrants. And I would say both are basically here to undermine wages. In the tech field, and basically, in the working class field. Where you have the Indians that came and they were basically given these tech jobs. Like my mother was working for the Vargas for like 20-something years, and like maybe like 15 years ago, she was they let a whole department go, and they shipped it to India. So she got a severance package, and the deal was, you're not going to get the severance package until you train your Indian replacements. So you have a lot of Indians come in on the higher tier, where you have more South Americans come on the lower tier. And I'm in the trucking industry, and we've seen the effects of immigration undermine the trucking industry, because now the loads are lower, and you have an influx of a lot of people getting into the trucking industry, and you have a lot of, and that's where I was skeptical with the just freely giving out licenses to undocumented workers, because that necessarily means that they can possibly apply for commercial driver's license. And lo and behold, the trucking industry is in shambles. And even the Indians have basically taken over the broker and the dispatching side of the trucking industry. So I think that the people, the politicians, are skillfully, allowing this, the influx of immigration to undermine wages in this country. And even when we talk about, when you see the Mayweathers and you see the Bowmans, you have a group that's, we support Israel. Then you have another groups with what they'll call like the bleeding heart liberals that's pro-Palestine. I mean, this has been a game that's been played for years. I've been watching this Palestinian conflict since the early 2000s, and what you have with the liberals is it's more or less like for selfish reasons. Just like how you have a liberal, you can test. I mean, liberals' litmus test might be Abu Jamal. So you have most liberals Abu Jamal. And so you're going to have the liberals that's going to be pro-Palestine, free Palestine. And then on the top tier, you're going to have people that's pro-Israel for reasons, just basically money reasons. And you don't really want to get on the bad side of, the powerful Jewish community. So it's a whole game being played. But I think that Black Americans, we can definitely have empathy, because we're seeing in real time what has been done for us for decades. Whether when we rebelled, we were called terrorists, we had COINTELPRO sicked on us, and we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing the same media apparatus that was unleashed on us being unleashed on the Palestinian people. So I just think that we just basically need to be mindful, take lessons, because this is a master class on what they do to us outside of literally just dropping bombs on us, but how the media can basically make genocide seem like justice. How they can make the victims seem like the perpetrators. They seem like the ones that should be put upon. So, that's just my take on the whole situation. I'm not going to be long with it.
All right, thank you, brother. I will add this point here. The United States did drop bombs on its own people in Tulsa, so we can't forget that. And maybe it's not to the point that you're saying over there in the Middle East, but they have dropped bombs on their own people, that American citizens. They have used them as guinea pigs. The further the medical system here in the United States, they've done everything psychologically, physically that you could do to a people. So I would just go ahead and I would beg to differ a little bit what you're saying, but I get what you're saying. But they also not only that, but let's not forget this is a country that when they were at war in World War II and they had German prisoners of war, they would let them actually eat with them and treated the black people like they were the actual prisoners of war, the ones that was actually fighting to help liberate the world. So let's not I get what you're saying.
No,
but
no, let me clarify that. Me and you understand, but not every black person understands, and that's why I said that can be a masterclass where we can make parallels on what happened to us and what's going on with them now, and what's continuing to happen to us, and make those parallels that make it digestible and people can understand. That's my point.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate you coming up. I am Heat. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Appreciate it, family. I'll be brief as well. I wanted to piggyback on Buddy who was talking about the trucking industry. I was watching podcast of a Great Black Shark the other day, and he was discussing the immigration thing and watching this documentary. And Lord beholds, we find out, the corporate entities are sponsoring the immigrants to get here for the lower wages to be able to compete with us. So, I thought that was a very eye opener. They the only people who have the budget to expand and to bring in an influx of people like that. So, these politicians and corporate people, they're in bed with each other to undermine us regardless. I mean, talking about everyone in America as a whole, but it impacts us the most because, we're the underclass, and they're just going to bury these people on top of us and let them siphon more resources out of us. So, we stuck between a two-headed snake right here, like a fork in the road. We got to figure out how to go straight. And I land my plane there.
All right. All right. Appreciate that, brother. Let me go ahead and get to Original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, I just want to raise this issue here when you brought up what's going on in Niger. See, Niger, they're calling what's going on in Niger a coup. But no, that's a revolution because they want the French out of their country. And I think they have ran them all out for the most part. All of their diplomats and others, they have been forced out of Niger. So Niger is seen as an enemy to white supremacy because of how they kicked them out. That was the same thing that happened in Zimbabwe, how they always maligned President Robert Mugabe, because it was the people, the grassroots people over there. They started they had told them that they were they entered in, I think it's called something, the Castle House Agreement or something like that, whereby they were supposed to return those people land within like a 10-year time period. They agreed to that 10-year time period. It ended, and it was England and all the others said, "Well, screw y'all. We're gonna let these people do what they want to do." And when those people started taking their land back, they started spreading propaganda saying that the Africans didn't know how to farm, and they was already working the farm. So how they didn't know how to farm. And so I think that's the difference in how some of this is being presented in the media. Because if you look at all the media, what they've been saying it was a coup that was that took place in Niger. No, that was those people saying, "Look, get your ugly face out of our country. We don't want you. We don't like you. We will come. We will do what we have to do to provide for ourselves." And so, France doesn't have like a rich mineral resource that they can count on in France. They have been bleeding Africa dry. I mean, for the past 100 years. For the past 100 years or so. So that's what they've been doing. So I think that's why you're seeing that being presented in the way it has been presented. So I just want to throw that in there, and I think, and again, I will say, if we just organize ourselves accordingly, and we just stand firm and letting these people know, because even if Donald Trump were to be elected, I would still say a lot of these people are going to still be here. Now they may put up a propaganda piece on the news showing that these people are being deported, but I would bet you, as they say, I'll bet you your bottom dollar that a lot of them are going to still be here. And we saw how, like, when all these illegal aliens had all these brand new scooters up there in New York and maybe Chicago. I told someone, I said, those people were probably going to be used to work these food delivery services like the DoorDashes and things like that. And so now, right now, you've had like a lot of black people that have been working jobs like Uber and DoorDash and stuff. And if you notice now, like just a few years ago, they changed the pay scale because you had a lot of black people that was making pretty good money doing that. So they lowered the pay scale to prevent the black folks from making money. And so they was having to work basically 7 days out of the week just to make what they was making working 5 or less days out of the week, you see. And so I think that has to be factored in, because at the beginning and ending of each day, this is the war that America has waged against black people in America as well as around the world, and they want to make sure that we don't benefit from anything. And that's why I'm not voting, and I'm not supporting any politician unless they are speaking on specific tangibles for us. And the first on the list is lineage-based reparations. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Mark, I see you just came up here. Did you want to say something?
Yes, definitely. And you know, I notice whenever it's a conversation and it's centered around Democrats, then we tend to say it's Americans. It's all the whites. No, it's the Democratic Party who has blocked us from opportunities all our lives. In the 90s, it was the Democratic Party when we were young people. All right? It's the Democratic Party that you've been constantly voting for. The Republicans never gave a damn. They just mind their business over there because they knew we weren't going to vote for them anyway. They live in their own areas. These have been Democrats destroying our people all the damn time. But people were voting for women's rights and gay rights and this phony Pan-Africanism. Now you come to the realization after they don't need you no more that it's the Democratic Party. Now you say, I don't want to vote, period. No. Go after the party that you consistently supported, even though they were never doing shit for black people. And the few people that did get some were the elitist ones who felt that they had arrived and they hated the poor black people no different than the rest of the Democratic Party. But you didn't know that your day was coming. And I'm glad that what's happening to the black elites is happening to them, because the black elites are just as racist as every other group is toward mainly poor black people. I'm glad they're losing everything. I'm glad the goddamn the repo man chasing their ass down. I'm glad they're in foreclosure. All of that, because as long as they got what they wanted, they didn't give a shit what happened to the rest of us.
Hey, Mark, real quick, let's chill on the cursing some. Go ahead, you got it.
Okay, you're right. But I'm saying I'm glad what's happening to those, as long as affirmative action benefited them and everything else went to white women and other immigrants, they were cool with it. They never spoke up for the people that was starving, and not only that was starving, the people that they helped starve. All right. See, now they're seeing the racism. But we've been seeing the racism from all sides, including the black races. We've been seeing it all the time. It wasn't just Joe Biden that when we were children targeted us and mass incarcerated us, sent the jobs overseas. These elitist black politicians, these Masons, these star sorority fraternity members were right there partnering with him, helping them destroy poor black people. And now their chickens are coming home to roost. Don't say, no, you talk about the Democratic Party. Because most of us live in Democratic cities. You don't live around no Republicans. You don't live around no Ku Klux Klan. You live in black Republican cities, black majority Democrat cities. In a lot of those cities, had black mayors. Memphis, Tennessee, for example, while they still discriminate against people that have served their time, those are black elected officials in Atlanta, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee, and these different places. These are black cities that are discriminating against poor people. Don't want to see them change their lives around. So whatever's happening to the black elites now, good. Now you see what it feels like. Now you have to come on the front line and fight with the rest of us.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you coming up here. Definitely appreciate that, guys. Definitely hit the Cash App. Like I said, we're just asking for $1. It's about 60 people up in the space, at least about 60 people up in the space. I know we can get a couple people to donate $1 to the platform, not to the Twitter space, not to the YouTube podcast, to the actual platform, which is the largest Black-owned, Black American media curation platform today. So just $1 for those that can afford it. If you can't afford it, we understand. We know times are tough, But for those that can't afford to donate $1 on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. Same with our folks over there on YouTube. For those that can support the largest Black-owned, Black American media curation platform today in America, $Newstoter. The Cash App, and the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual description on YouTube. Make sure you guys visit newstoter.com daily to stay up to date on breaking Black news. Visit newstoter.com daily to stay up to date on breaking Black news. If you've never been to the website, guys, make sure you visit it. I'm going to say it again, newstoter.com. Curating news from the top Black media outlets in the country, newstoter.com. So we got my man Rizza up here. Rizza, what's going on tonight? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good evening, everybody. It's Lorenza from Anchorage, Alaska, USA, by way of Alabama. Time up here is 5:23 p.m. I believe that's right. Yeah, 5:24 p.m. Alaska time, which is 9:24 there in New York, 6:24 in Los Angeles. I just want to give you guys a heads up because I'm looking at a pattern. We got people from Mexico and other countries trying to cross the border into the U.S. because their countries are pretty much unstable. You got this attack on Gaza with the Palestinians, and based on what we know already, they're trying to make room to make Israel 100%. I hope you guys are going to be on watch because this isn't over by a long shot. We're going to really have to dig in deep to help one another because this is a full frontal assault from white supremacy. I know a lot of people may disagree, but if you look at the order of alignment and how all of these situations have happened, they're trying to dismantle any opportunity for us to have a correct showing in the terms of history. They're going to make sure that what legacy we have is going to be erased. But we're not going to let that happen. In fact, the reverse is going to happen. And I encourage you guys to stay vigilant and work together, be creative in everything that you do, and just keep your eyes open on all the stuff that's happening. It's a distraction from what they're really trying to do, and that is to wipe us out. And I'll land my plane there. Thank you, Newstoter, as always.
Uh-oh. I might be in the Matrix myself. Okay, I was up in the Matrix myself. So thank you, Ariza. Appreciate it. Things that kind of froze up on me right there myself. So thank you. I appreciate it. I was I'm like, don't tell me this space about to freeze up and mess up again as always. But shout out to you. Definitely appreciate that. Shout out to Iron Malt as well, too. Thank you for your donation, Iron Malt. We go ahead and get to let me see. Is there anybody else that wants to speak tonight? Because y'all know we'll go for a couple hours or whatever. But if nobody has anything else they want to add, I see no taxation down there. So shout out to her. Shout out to Black Majority State. Some of our usuals that's up in the space as well too. So I see my girl no taxation.
When you get a chance, I'm going to say something, okay? And I'll be done.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and get our speakers up here. Go ahead and say something real quick, Mark.
So I want to tell y'all, I want to give y'all an update what's going on here with us in Chicago. Unlike some of the other places, it took a while before our people really understood what we tried to tell them back in 2000. And that was we're unite Africans, the Jewish community, the Palestinians. That's why we're not crying for them. We're not crying. That's not our business on this. Because those same groups, when they get to America, they all team up and go against us. So let them. But America, and if you all look in your cities under your immigration plan, every city that you're in, look up your immigration plan. You're going to see that all those immigrant groups have come together to replace you. They can't go back to those countries where they're from. And so they're going to make your area their home, even if that means they have to push you out. So what we're doing now that the people are awakening, is we are going against any candidates that are not against the sanctuary city. Any of them that are not for closing the border, we're going against them. We're not signing their petitions because it's an election season. So we're not signing their petitions. We're going to make sure that they lose. And no matter if they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, as long as they're going against the sanctuary city, we'll support them. We don't give a damn if they can be white, racist Republicans. If they're against immigration and these unions, we rolling with them. And on top of that, we're going to run our own candidates. And the fear and the threat to the Democratic Party here is that we're willing to run candidates under the Republican Party. You have to do some unconventional steps, actions, in order for these people to respect you, especially the black representatives. These black so-called leaders, they hate black people, and they don't respect black people. So that's why you got this guy, Jamal, is talking about bringing them Palestinians here as refugees. Hey, don't bring them here with us. We don't care what's happening. We got people that look. It's a humanitarian crisis, better than a humanitarian crisis for Black Americans across this country. And so we don't have tears to be crying for nobody else. And so I would urge you all to do the same across the country in your cities. If immigrants haven't already taken over your city, like places in California, New York, Florida, Minnesota, if they haven't taken your cities over already, then you arm yourself and make sure you go against them, bringing them into your city. Because if you bring them in your city, eventually you're going to be pushed out. And that's a fact.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Let me go ahead and get to no taxation. No taxation. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, News, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. What's up? How you doing?
Good. Everybody in the room? I'm all right. Just trying to chill out because, it's Monday, the only day I get off because I work on Sundays. So I try to take Monday off, but shit, excuse me. The way this thing is moving, I don't think I can take no more days off. Here's the thing. They have that trouble over there all the time. So that's a given. That's peace in the Middle East. We used to have all the slogans back in the 60s and stuff like that. It was easier back then up until Clinton administration, I'm saying. It was easier back then for Black Americans to align themselves with what was happening in South Africa, what was happening to the Palestinians and the indigenous in Australia. It was easy for us to do that. Why? Because they weren't over here. We didn't have all these different people over here. The only place where you had a lot of different people, and it was mostly people from the islands, was in New York. And in the 5 boroughs, it probably wasn't even 5, maybe just 3 to 4 of them. But certainly we didn't have an influx of people coming to this country like the Biden administration has pushed us on us now. And you have to ask yourself, why did he do that? He did it for various reasons. And I will tell you, I live in a farming area in New York, and they're here. They got them, I see them, they look like they got overseers too. It looked like some plantation stuff to me, because the overseers are going out there and tell them how they need to do the landscaping and how they need to get on these farms and do what they have to do on these farms and stuff like that. They're doing manual labor. I live in a county, thankfully, where they let in just enough to get those 5,000 jobs that were open that have to do with farming and picking food and stuff like that. So that's where they are here. But how does that hit home for me? I was in the grocery store the other day, and one of the couples, from the immigrant couple, didn't speak any English. I had some hangers in the bottom of my cart, and she came right over and took the hangers out of my cart as I was checking out. I looked at her. You see, Black folks, we have a certain spirit. We do. Everybody don't have it. We have it. Where you can look at a person and put them in correction. We're famous for that. Your mamas used to do it to us when we was young. The daddies did too. They'd be able to look at us and we knew right from wrong immediately. And so I gave her that look, and she put them back. And I continued to look at her because that's a violation. If you come over here and you don't know right from wrong or the American way, you in violation. Period. Point blank. The man that was talking about the trucking industry, pay attention to that, and I'll tell you why. Because when you don't know the rules of the road and you're driving an 18-wheeler, which weighs tons, and you're carrying loads, which could be anything in there, they're taking a chance on our lives, see, because we have to be on the road with them. So that's a major problem, and something needs to be done about that. Now, should we, Black Americans, Negro Americans, FBAs, B1s, and Freedmen, and all the rest of the names, ADOS, should we be concerned about the events in Palestine? Guess what? Our answer should be fresh out. We got nothing. We're at the bottom of the ladder in this country, people. The very bottom. Politically, socially, economically, employment-wise, the environment-wise. A lot of us in this country don't have clean water either. And people are talking about they let the gates open over there so people could flee to Egypt. Well, Africa Town down there in Alabama got gates in front of it. St. Louis and East St. Louis got railroad track. So it's no difference. We live in a place where it's all an illusion. You know, that's why they call it the American dream, because it ain't real. And it was purposeful that they let these people come in this country. And the reason why, and they really let the Venezuelans in, if you want to know the truth about it, that's the secret. And the reason they let them in as refugees under the refugee status, especially here in New York, is because the United States of America went over there and stabilized their country. That's why these people are over here. These people are over here because the United States of America, the war machine of the world, goes to these different countries and destabilizes them. And then they take over their resources. That's how we pay our bills. American taxpayers don't have enough money to pay a bill. The tax bill that America owes to China and the rest of these countries. They destabilize countries, they take their resources, and then they use them to pay these other countries off where they have borrowed money or whatever from them. Okay? And in the midst of that, we sell war machines, things that you need to go to war. Okay? And that's what we do. And that's how this country stays alive. So when Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury, said we can afford another war, she didn't tell no lie. We have to afford war in this country because that's the only way we can make it. It's the war machine of the world, and we have to keep that in mind. Now, having said that, how does that directly affect Black folks? It directly affects us because we're on the bottom of everything. So the only place we have to go is up. That's the only thing we can do is go up. Now, having said that, who's on our side? Because, see, we can't take sides with people who's not on our side. We can't do it. We can't afford to. Our voices are getting softer. They're getting more diluted because they have all these other people in this country. Everybody got their hand out for resources and money along with ours. We're old, but they get paid. See, it's all a big charade and a big game. And it's part of the process for them to genocide us. That's part of their process. See, America's doing a genocide on us too, just like Israel's doing over there. But they just doing it differently. Let's not forget Hitler came over here to get the understanding of what they needed to do to those people over there where Hitler was. We didn't go over there to Hitler. Hitler came over here. So please understand what this country is and what it's about. It's at the top of the food chain for genocidal acts. It's at the top of the food chain. And we are the food. It just so happens that we're stronger than they thought we would ever be. See? And we have to keep that in mind. Hey, we don't want to see anybody die under the hands of American imperialism, because that's what it is. Not just in this country, but in all those other countries too. It's American imperialism, British imperialism. See, and that's their home. That's these white folks' home countries. That's who came over here, them and the Spaniards and all that kind of stuff. And so, of course, they're going to import the people that are going to feel like them, that are going to go with them. You see, they're not letting the Haitians come in. They're kicking the Africans out. They hollering Niger is in a mess, but they ain't going over there to do nothing about it. They told the Kenyans to go over there to Haiti, send some troops to Haiti to settle that score, because America won't even be bothered with the Haitians. They don't want them here, and they don't want to have nothing to do with them. They're doing a genocide on them over there too. And that's what this country is about. And every other country that understands how Americans do it is copying us. And you got to also understand that war is a necessary evil. That's what it is. It's a necessary evil. And guess what, y'all? We at war. We are at war. And just remember, it's a necessary evil. And do what you got to do. And I'm going to leave it there.
All right. Thank you, No Taxation. We get to Keith, and I got you next, Dana. Keith, what's going on tonight? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, News? Is the sound okay?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. I'm glad you brought this up, because it's about 2 hours ago. I think last time I was on your broadcast, I was telling you that my sister is heavy in the Democratic Party down here, and we're in Northwest Florida, the Gulf. And she was at one time the Democratic president doing this district. And the guy that I guess he's supposed to be the heir apparent, I had a chance to talk to him earlier, about 2.5, 3 hours ago. And they do their Zoom calls. Me and my sister, we live, her condo's 3 doors down from mine. So I spend a lot of time, we're the only family down here, just to give you some background. So a lot of times I've been to some of those Democratic functions and events, and I get to say my part in it and disagreeing. But they had they were funded, and I'm not gonna say the man's name, but they were funded so much money through that $25 million to get out the vote initiative that Biden put out there, and they were talking about allocating the money and what they wanted to do to get the vote, get people out the vote. And just today, he added in, we need to also do a fundraiser for the Gaza refugees. And I said, oh, wait a minute, man. Hold up. I'm sitting there, I'm like, and the reason why I'm saying all this is that we can look at the major Democratic shields we might see on TV or on social media, but it's deep rooted down to the bare core with Democratic shields that they talk to the grassroots like myself, and they still deflect and have their agenda. So the reason why I brought that up, you almost got to start from the ground level to get these kind of people out to make any change. I asked him point blank. I was 2 seconds off saying, dude, where are your people from? I was 2 seconds off asking him that. Then I said, I ain't going to do that. But I said, do you understand what I just said? That is not on our to-do list for people that we don't have any control over, nor any benefit from them people. They don't do anything. I understand. I have compassion for them. But this has been going on since the Reagan administration at this intensity. So we have nothing to do with that. And to ask us to go jump out the window and then give us that same benign neglect on the same level that I can sit here and talk to you on a Zoom call, we got a problem. And if you don't understand that, you might as well throw the towel in now, because next year is going to be a slaughter. And I'll land my plane with that, man.
Appreciate you, Mr. Keith. Thank you. Thank you for coming through tonight. Let me give a shout out to Miss Wilson over there. She said she's a new subscriber on YouTube as well too. So shout out for you hanging out in the chat tonight, Miss Wilson. I definitely appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to my girl Dana. Dana, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. And by the way, a little FYI, I just came across this on my Twitter feed. Today is the 28 years ago today was the Million Man March, October 16.
Damn, 28 years ago?
Yikes. I know.
Oh, Lord.
I think we should have had 10 more Million Man marches, but which is, I think, a good discussion tomorrow. I think I might have that with the judge on, well, partly have him touch on it, but I think you should have that part of your space tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, so the question, your title are Democrats are hoping to bring in Gaza refugees to the U.S. Why not? They actually fit legally under the definition of asylum seekers, because that's what they are. Now, these Venezuelans coming here, and not just them, it's everybody else along the countries along the way. They're not. They are illegal migrants. They do not qualify for asylum. They are not refugees. They are not coming from war-torn countries. Now, I think it was No Taxation said that the United States destabilized Venezuela. Why they're allowing them to come, but everybody is not Venezuelan. And so I think that is the excuse where if you have media outlets focusing, saying that it's mainly Venezuelans, that's the excuse. But they just have open borders to dilute the black vote. So for anything, close the borders and bring the Palestinians here. Now, if we because the United States had a major hand in destabilizing Palestine. So by funding the state of Israel. So if we open the doors for the Jewish people who were in Germany and Poland being killed because nobody else didn't want them, even America didn't want them, their own people, their own Jewish people that was already here didn't want them, but we let them come over here, and the same way we funded Israel so they could have a safe place to live, only to turn around and commit, human rights violations and genocide. We should allow the Palestinians to come here. And I understand Black people who may be against it, but what's going on in Chicago, where you have the Black residents suing the city. And I have to say, it's about time. It's about time you got up off your ass and actually did something that is going to, try to help the Black community or the South Side of Chicago. Because there are many other reasons why Black residents in Chicago should have sued the city. They should have sued the city 20 years ago. So, I think it's time that we just start participating in the practice of politics and understanding how public policies are passed and the importance of public policies. But I don't have a problem with the Palestinians coming over here because they will be legal asylum seekers and they are refugees. I don't want to say if I had to choose who I stand with, neither one, but I do have more sympathy towards the Palestinians. And I'll land right there for now.
Let me just say this news before you go on. Dana, the reason I said Venezuelans is because of what Joe Biden, the president, said and what the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, said.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's
and you're right. Everybody is coming through. And I tell you something else that Black folks need to watch out for, because they always come into our neighborhoods. Y'all be real careful and start looking at these people differently, because I'm going to tell you something. Some of that stuff you're seeing over there, that they do over there and how they kill people over there, it's here already. They're using machetes. They're good at it.
Well, I do know.
And all the rest of that stuff. These people, remember when they was...
But which people?
whoever decides to be the killer, it could be anybody.
Well, we have killers that's already here.
But here, we Americans, we do firearms over here. We throw bullets. We shoot bullets. That's what we do. They don't do that over there in those countries because they don't have to get guns like we do.
Well, you're talking about South Americans?
No, I'm talking about anybody else in any other country. America is famous for guns. We're the war machine. Everybody got guns. Everybody got more than one gun in the household.
Yeah, but I'm not about to sit up here and start that narrative saying that those
it's
are
already
different
happened in New York. But it's already happening in New York.
I know we already have hate crimes. It was a Muslim boy that was stabbed to death. Wait a minute, let me finish because I wasn't even finished my point. It's a Muslim boy, a child that was stabbed to death by a landlord because he was Muslim. So I'm never going to paint a narrative saying, well, if we let those people come over here, we're going to have more issues. And the fact is that I'm trying to just clarify which people, because the people that's crossing the border and that's been crossing the border for decades, that's why Chicago is riddled with guns because of people coming from the border. Where was that lawsuit?
Well, so, the other thing you got to understand, too, is the cartels.
Exactly.
The guns in Mexico, and they're here now.
The cartels are the ones funding it, and the people, they're using the people as the mules. The cartels control the Mexican government and other South American governments, and the United States know that because they're complicit about it. So again, I'm not going to sit up here and say, wait a minute. I'm not going to sit up here and say,
no, I'm not missing your point. I'm saying that when they do things like kill people, they do it differently than Americans.
I don't care.
I'm not saying Americans
but that's what I'm saying. But again, I'm not falling into that narrative. I don't care how they may quote unquote kill. A kill is a kill. So what you're trying to describe is, they killed too, i.e. they may torture you more, they may cut you up with a knife. Well, that's already been happening here, particularly in New York and the tri-state area. There are a lot of Hispanics, there are a lot of South Americans, foreigners, and black people and white people that have been slicing people up with machetes. You could label that stereotype on Caribbean people and Jamaican people. So I'm not going to get into that.
Real quick, guys, because we got some hands up. So let me go ahead and get y'all to land this in 30 seconds. And then I got to get to actually, I'm going to get to Iron Mode because he hasn't had a chance to speak. And then I'm going to get to Original.
And yeah, Caribbean people are known for chopping people up with machetes. That's not a Black American thing. That's a say both one.
Right. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to fall into that narrative and sit up here and say, well, that's a day-to-day, meaning the Muslims, the Palestinians that come over here from the Middle East, they come with a different mindset. And honestly, if we want to run the stats, let's talk about the stats on who's really doing more of the killing. It ain't the Muslims that come over here. It's the people crossing our border if we want to do it on a number scale. And then furthermore, when we see these protests that are happening in New York and Boston and Philadelphia, and other cities, major cities, Chicago, throughout this nation right now, and on college campuses, when we see these young Palestinians, that energy, one thing they do have that we don't and other people don't have, they want to get out in that streets, and they're not going to allow one organization like a BLM to lead them. No, they're going to take the streets and they're going to protest and they're going to utilize their rights and speak up for what is happening to their people. That's what is different that I will point out.
I'm not speaking of any one group, though. So I think you're mistaken. I'm just talking about everybody who has crossed the border during the Biden administration. I don't care what country they come from. They do things differently. They are not Americans. We will shoot bullets. Maybe they do chop people up, but you're not going to see that happening outside of too many places that are not like New York. That's just the truth of the matter. The other thing we need to be concerned about in this country is those people will die for what they believe. Americans, just like you said, Americans, we don't even get out in the street like that, okay? And so that's just different. Our country has changed, and we will see what the outcome looks like in another probably 2 to 3, maybe max 4 years from these people in this country. And everybody better watch their back because they do things differently over there. If somebody fires a bullet, we all know to run. But if somebody pulls out a knife, we don't know to run. That's why those British people over there got stabbed with that machete over there on that bridge. They do things differently. That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying watch your back because they do things differently. Nothing is going to be the same in this country. And that's on period. Nothing.
No.
Yeah, that's where we part ways.
Yes.
They've been, yeah, but Hispanics, they're known to be having knives, so that ain't.
Well, they got guns now because those cartels.
They've been had guns.
Okay, ladies, we gotta move on.
Let me state this: the cartels. This is a big deal in this country. That are in this country, not in Mexico. That are in this country cannot get guns in Mexico because it's too restrictive. So what are they doing? They're trading guns for fentanyl in this country, and they're taking them back to Mexico to those people that work for the cartels. It's very big business.
Okay.
Big business.
That's not new.
Okay, ladies, we got to move on to the next speakers. We got a few hands up, so thank both of you guys for speaking. Let me go ahead and get to Iron Malt. Iron Malt, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you and good evening. Hello to everybody. Invention of the white race. All these people coming over here is the invention of the white race. They are honorary upper class whites that will help in white supremacy. The Palestinians, the Israelis, Jews that's already here, your Venezuelans, all of it. There's a book over it. There's court cases over it. They are considered white, and they will help white supremacy. These new folks coming in from Venezuela and stuff, they are to curtail the black vote to where they really don't need us no more. The other thing is those same folks, once they get fed, they turn in Republican. You know, regardless of what anybody say, they gonna be Republican. The Palestinians that come over here, if when they come, sure they still consider you and say the whole story that everybody else that came over here. I came over here with $20. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have this. Well, from the Venezuelans, you can see and tell that, hey, they getting paid. We're the only ones that's still fighting for any type of, for our reparations. We're the only ones that say, hey, we're not being treated fairly. We're the only, and constantly we'll sit there and vote for a party that's not going to do it. They are liberal authoritarians. They just tell us what to do. We're not in control of anything. But when you see all these other folks come over, they are control of stuff, and they are part of white supremacy. I land my plane there.
All right. Thank you, Iron Malt. Guys, like I say, for those that can contribute and donate on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those in the space that have not joined or subscribe to the YouTube channel, the link is up in the Jumbotron. The link is up in the Jumbotron. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe while the actual space is going on. And for those that can support by at least donating $1 to the platform, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App or Venmo, the PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. And for those on YouTube, it's up in the description. Let me go ahead and get to Trouble. Let me get to Trouble. Trouble, what's going on?
Can you go trying to bring some stuff in?
Okay, you sound breaking up anyway. Okay, I get to original. Go back. You got it. You there, original?
Yeah, I just had to unlock my phone. I was trying to find this book, An American Dilemma, and I would suggest people get this book and read. If you don't read the entire book, read most of it. It's by Gurner Myrdal, An American Dilemma, The Negro Problem and Modern Democracy. See, with all these people coming over here, white people have known that their population was dwindling since like the maybe late 30s, early 40s. And this guy, Gurner Myrdal, he conducted his research on black. This is an extensive research on black folks, and what they said was that in order to maintain their population, that they would bring in the Canadians and the Mexicans. But see, their population is worse than what they thought it was going to be. So they're bringing in the Palestinians, the white folks throughout Central and South America, because we are their greatest problem. They have always seen us as a problem. And unfortunately, too many of these degenerate black elected officials, what's his name? Mark, check your DM, Mark. I sent you an image that you can use to hopefully motivate people to not vote for these Democrats. It's the current mayor of Atlanta. It's his diversity and inclusion program. Especially need the highlighted portions I have in there for you, and you might be able to use that, spread that around Chicago, and say this is what they're doing in Atlanta, and we need to considering what's going on now in Chicago, y'all need to avoid that. But yeah, they've known this for a while, whereby they that their population and they out. But again, they have always seen us, and this is in this what I'm speaking of is in chapter. I think it's like chapter 7 under population. So they've always known this, and so this is what their plan was. Their plan was to never really do for us. It's always what they're going to do to try to maintain their numbers, because they knew they would not have the numbers that they once had. Because you look at how you look at what feminism brought in, all that crazy crap. And other thing, and you look at what the abortion brought to them, and so they've been able to see for a long time that brothers still getting their work in, and that terrifies them. It scares them to hell. So I just want people to understand that this is something that this is something that they've always known, and that it's getting worse. And their population is going to continue to get worse, because even with bringing in these people from Latin America, there was some information that came out, it's been like several years ago, whereby they used, it was soap operas, that they was using these soap operas to control the population down there in Latin America. I'm gonna see if I can find that information. I think it may not be on the internet now, but the information was out there, how they use soap opera to curtail the birth rate down there in Latin America. And I would almost bet you that, though I can't remember exactly what it was, but I would almost bet you it was more than likely with the black population down there. But the white population was affected too. So I just want y'all to understand that these people, they are serious about making sure that we do not rise to a certain number in this country. Because, as I said before, there was a brother back in the 90s, and his work was usually on point, where he stated that during World War II, they conducted a special census just on black folks in America, because so many was coming out the woodworks, joining the military to get money to feed their families. So, like I said, this is real, and like what Mark said, we got to do what we got to do as far as these elections, to let these people know you're just not going to get our vote and only going to give us benign neglect. If you for all this stuff, as far as allowing all these illegals to just walk across the border, or you going to fly them in or whatever, we're not voting for you. And I land with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Thank you, Trouble. You still want me to come back to you, or you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Y'all said y'all want some chicken or sous vide? Chicken. Okay.
Kind of cooking kind of late there, aren't you?
I take both.
No, I'm taking food out for tomorrow night, so my deep freezer a little full, so I can't put everything in here. So I'm like, what y'all want for tomorrow?
Oh, okay.
But okay, put that chicken in a refrigerator for me.
chicken. I want some fried chicken, yo.
No, I just cooked last night. They give some regular food today. Eat what you gonna cook. So, shout out to the group. Hey, Newstoter. Hey, DJ. Hey, everybody.
What's up?
So, y'all got a lively discussion going on. Sorry, I've been in and out the space because I've been in traffic and I ain't been able to keep y'all on because they keep going out in certain areas, especially when you're in that country. But so far everything sounds pretty good. I just wanted to say America is a whore. Y'all know I was gonna say that. And what whores do? Whores can't stay home. They always out in traffic. You know, it's like toot that ass up, girl, toot that ass up. And that's what America is good at. She's good at tooting that thing up. She always in somebody's house, always in somebody's business. And, you know, what's her main objective is to toot that thing up so she can buck and suck and make that money. And she go inside these other nations, bucking. And you know what I mean when I say bucking? Because I'm trying not to cuss on Newstoter stage. And when she get through bucking you, then she suck all your money out your pockets and all your resources and your stuff, you know? So I feel like all of these other nations coming over here, besides to throw us further into despair, is also as a bargaining chip. She's going to use their people against them. So you got all of these other nations over here, so that makes it easy for you to continue to get stuff off their land, because if they don't do what you want them to do, you got their people. So you could cause their people harm if they in close proximity and they over here by the numbers, you know. And so that's just my little take on it. I don't feel like it has anything to do with us, even though I know there's a lot of people who disagree that, you know, black folks should, you know, feel some ways. And it's not that we don't feel no ways. We always feel some ways when people are, you know, up against the machine. But at the same time, you're talking about two groups of people right now who don't have an allegiance to us, number one, and number two, who's fighting over land that technically don't even belong to them. It don't belong to the Palestinians and it don't belong to the Israelis, because that land was the land of the Israelites before it was everybody's land. And when they shipped them to the four corners of the earth and brought them through ships and slave ships and stuff like that, that's when everybody else went to stealing and carrying on. But that land don't belong to them. So may the best man. The people coming over here, what Democrats gonna do. And no, black people shouldn't want not only the Palestinians to come over here, we shouldn't want not a goddamn person to come over here. Because anytime these other nations, what they do is they send the people who are the niggers of their lands over here. And when the niggers of their land get over here, they think they better than the niggers on this land. And then they continue to use white supremacy and white supremacist tactics against the niggers of this land. So we shouldn't want none of them coming over. Y'all sitting back like, oh, well, I don't mind the Palestinians coming over because at least, you know, they fit the bill. I don't give a fuck who fit. Oh, sorry. You know, I don't give a buck who fit the goddamn bill. Because what they do is they come over here and they use tactics against us, and it never works out for us. So, you know, I'm going to stand back and stand by. Don't ask me who I stand with. I stand back and I stand by because I stand with my Black American people, and we don't need the headache. We don't need tomfoolery. We don't need our resources constantly being sucked from us and given to other motherfuckers. You know, that's what we don't damn need. And it's always us that's being put in a situation to where they send these niggas of other nations over here, that they send them in our community, further sucking up the little bit of resources that we have. I've been facing this for a few years now, dealing with these other nations coming into my community and to the school systems and the housing areas, and even and now you can't even go in the grocery stores, or the workers at Family Dollars and Walmart been complaining about them for the longest because they come in there with these big checks that America's been giving them, and they're buying up everything inside the store, which doesn't really leave much for the people. Because I'm like, yo, why y'all don't have A, B, and C? I know when the trucks come. And the trucks is coming, and girls like, look, because these Mexicans, these people be coming in here and they buying up everything. They be buying like $300-400 worth of stuff. We had to tell them to put some of the toilet paper back because, you know, they was trying to buy like 4 and 5 of the 24 rolls at one daggone time. Like, we had to tell them you could only get 1 or 2 of them. Like, they be depleting the stores. Why? Because they got the money, they can do so. But
You cutting our funds. The little people who might get a little bit of funds here and there, that's getting snap back. So no, we shouldn't be advocating for nobody to come over here. We stand back and stand by. And that's pretty much all I got to say on that. Well, for now.
All right. Thank you, Trouble. Mark, go ahead and unmute your mic. Everybody in Trouble, I know you caught yourself a few times, so shout out on that. So everybody, let's remember about the cursing too. Mark, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, and I concur with the sister. We should be in support of any groups coming over here. So to all you liberals that want to love everybody but your family members, your drunk uncle and stuff, hey, we don't agree with you. You know, you run around here with this feminist movement, the LGBT movement, the Pan-Africanist movement. Man, hey, we don't have tears to cry for nobody else. And I'm glad that it's a small group of you all, because the majority of us, we're not in agreement. We're not in agreement. And to the sister that was speaking, sound like you was from New York. You should have y'all should have had enough of these immigrants coming in, sneaking and having babies with you, and the ultimate plan was to depopulate you and take over your areas. And so for us to cry, in places like New York, I mean, it's almost as if I have to ask you, I mean, are you Black American? Because I know a lot of y'all up there, y'all kind of, mixed in with the Jamaicans and all those different people, because y'all were doing that kind of stuff in the 90s, so y'all parents were having babies by these foreigners and stuff like that. But no, we're not that liberal. We're not that liberal, and now that we see clearly, and we're talking about a mass and vast group of our people see it here in Chicago, it's about things about to be different here. We're not going to be like New York. We're not going to be like California and Florida, crying for these other groups. No, we're going to cry for our own family members. We're going to cry for Black Americans. And, a lot of y'all, when I hear you speak, you speak so highly of these other people, these Pan-Africans speak so highly of these other people, and you ask them a simple question: what are you doing to help your own family members? You find reasons why there's something wrong with them, but there's nothing wrong with these illegal immigrants, huh? These people coming to this country, breaking the law, and then you cry for them. Well, they coming for a better life. Well, what the hell you think your cousins was out there selling dope for? They was trying to make money to support some babies that they had or something. Now, I'm not saying it's anything right about selling drugs or whatever, but if you can be okay with them breaking the law, then why are you so hard on your own family members for breaking the law? But I know a lot of y'all love to cry for everybody other than your own people. And so, again, we don't want none of them to come here. The Haitians either. The hell with them too. They're not on the team with us. They come here and down in Florida with that soap pound gang banging and be doing all kinds of stuff. But I don't care what they did down there when they whooped them down on that border and stuff. That's not our business. Like, they all the same to me. Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Dominicans, all of them ain't no Mexicans to me. Just got a different flag, you know what I'm saying, that was given to them. They all operate the same. When they come here, they go against Black Americans. We got a bigger problem with immigrant supremacy than we have with what y'all call white supremacy. Because one thing about the quote-unquote white supremacists is that they stay in their own area. These immigrant supremacists come in your area, in the Black areas, to take over. And I'm okay with the Ku Klux Klan as long as they stay on their side of their tracks. That's cool. And they come on our side of the tracks, they got white hoods on, and we put on our black hoods. And may the best man win. But crying about these immigrants, man, I don't care what's happening to them over there. So for all you liberals that love them so much, why don't you go over there and fight the war with them then?
All righty. Mark, I'm trying to think. Were you in that space that time we had with who was that, Arthur and them in there? And I'm trying to think. Were you in that space we had that one time? And I believe you was talking about immigrant supremacy one time.
Yes, I remember.
Okay, I thought so.
Listen, no other plan, because you got one in your city. Go read the Chicago New Americans plan. If you want to understand what's happening to you all and what's going to happen to you in your cities, crime for these other groups, read that plan where they clearly stated that they're going to replace our children in the workplace in terms of the future. They clearly said they're going to remove all red tape so that they will open up their businesses, and that they gave them over 100,000 positions. See, y'all under some assumption that they just here picking tomatoes. You ain't read HR 1909. Go read HR 1909, which is the Essential Workers Act. When they told you to go in the house during the pandemic, they put them to work and then gave them an accelerated path to citizenship to replace you. Keep on praying for them. They're going to be in your house, and I'm going to see how sympathetic you are then. Like they did them black folks in California. Now they're in their houses now. They can hear Dr. Carl Anderson, the things that he was trying to tell them 25 years ago. And I know he was telling them because he'll leave California and come to Chicago and tell us. That's why we're heading the curve with it. We're not crying for them. And last but not least, when they told us, I know y'all heard of Emerson Park, where y'all saw those 1,000 people rise up about the kids' football field. They didn't do nothing but bring the porta potties, and the community burned all of them up. Burned them up, man, don't bring them over here. All they telling them don't do it because the mayor lives over in the same neighborhood. When they put them out there, the community burned it all up. You put the tents out there, the community gonna burn that up too.
All right, appreciate it, Mark. Let me give a shout out real quick to my girl, Ms. Trigger. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Dana, I know you got your hand up, and I know you want to say something, so let me go ahead and let you unmute your mic. And remember, guys, no cursing. Go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, so I don't know who Mark is, and I don't know if you were even referring to me about the person from New York. If so, I'm from New Jersey. It's a difference, number one. Number two, I don't know where you're from. I don't know if it's the South, but you say Chicago. Let's just get something straight about Chicago. Y'all just woke up last week. Chicago was the second city behind San Francisco back in the 80s. Don't interrupt me because I ain't come off my mic. And maybe you unmuted and you don't realize you're on mute right now originally. But Chicago was the second city after San Francisco to vote for a sanctuary city under a black mayor. So you have black people voting for a black mayor, voting for black aldermen, and voting for Chicago to be a sanctuary city. So let's not get it twisted. So all that what you was just saying ain't nothing but BS. Number three, when I sat up here and I said that the Palestinians, they fall under asylum seekers legally than the people crossing the border. That is the American policy. So we can all sit here and say, we don't want them here, we're not crying for them, blah, blah, blah. That's all well and good. But that is the American policy. That is the federal policy, state policy. They have a right to apply to be asylum seekers. At least the Palestinians fit that definition. I'd rather see 5,000 Palestinians than 1 million immigrants crossing the border. Let's stay on Chicago. Because y'all stay in the shithole, the black section. Because even when you have the Mexicans and all the Hispanics and all the illegals that have been there for decades, at least they had enough sense to buy their property. Even though they were selling drugs and that was the pathway for the cartels with the guns and everything. But the fact is that black people in Chicago, you lived in a S-hole for decades. Y'all just woke up last week. So all that, I don't know if you SBA, I don't know who you are, you don't gotta know who I am. That's not your business. But what I tell you, black people, period, if we can't just stand by and then watch what happens. I agree with what Trouble said, but I think we need to start changing our language. No, it's not about just standing by and just watching everybody else. You have to participate in politics because we've been behind the ball. You saying, oh, we're a step ahead in Chicago. No, you're not. Because that mayor is giving those illegals $9,000 a month for rental assistance, and they've been cutting your Section 8 there. all the resources in Chicago before the illegal migrants got there in droves. They've been cutting resources for Black Chicago residents. So what was you doing in Chicago around that time, Mark? Nothing but sitting, complaining, worrying about what's my background. So never mind where I come from or what I said. We have to understand American laws, and you have a right to be an asylum seeker from another country if you fall under the definition. We have an administration that have an open border and saying everybody qualifies for asylum. But then you have people who are being taken out or genocide that is happening, and they're the ones that qualify for it. Mind you, it is America that funds the state of Israel, which is causing a genocide against the Palestinians. That's politics. That's war. So get out your feelings and stop acting like you people in Chicago and Black people everywhere else, especially in the South, as if y'all got y'all stuff together, because you don't. You don't pass any public policies. You don't fight for public policies. You don't petition. You don't organize for public policies. If you're not on an organization that drafts up a public policy, presented it to your local politician, please have several seats. Because everything else means nothing. Twitter space is a nice place for us to come, discuss, argue, or whatever. But the real work starts where you live at. If you are not pushing public policies specifically for people in your community, which is Black people, please shut up. And I'm going to land right there.
All righty. Iron Malt, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, just real quick. People can read up on Cities for Action and HR 572. You know, that kind of start, you know, for this immigration biz that's going on now. Thank you and good night.
All right. Appreciate that, Iron Malt. Thank you.
What was that resolution number again, IMO? Or legislation number?
572.
Cool.
All right. Trouble, go ahead and unmute your mic.
So when I say stand back and stand by, to a certain degree, it does mean stand back and stand by. But when you stand back and you stand by, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to do nothing. What you can do is you can watch what America and what Israel is doing to these other nations. And if you look at what Israel is doing to the Palestinians right now, they're pretty much starving them out. They don't have food. They don't have water. They don't have all of these other resources, because that's how it starts. And so what we can do is see the game plan and make sure that we are not left without certain resources that we need when America comes for our neck, because once they get enough of the allies over here that everybody is championing for, that's what they're going to do. And I don't think really that Black America, when we say that we don't want any of these other groups, it has nothing to do with the policies that allows them to come over here. We're just saying we don't want them to come over here, whether they can come over here legally or not. And so I think that, you know, that needs to be woken up, because there's a lot of people who keep pointing to the fact that, well, on a legal aspect, they fit the bill as far as asylum seekers go. Yes, it does. But what Black Americans is saying is, if we had it our way, which we don't have it our way, but since you want to know, since they keep running out the gate saying, well, where does Black America stand? Well, where the majority of us stand is, all of you motherfuckers can stay your ass home. You can stay wherever it is that you have. We don't want none of you to come here. So that's where we stand at. That's not to say that that's not the policies that allow them to come here. That's just to say, you want to know where we stand, that's where we stand. What, as far as the laws go, that's something completely different. The law allows you to come over here. If America wants you to come, you're going to come whether Black America wants you to come or not. But why should we want people to come who we already know is going to be segued into our communities that is already, you know, reeling for the resources that we already don't have? And as far as people shutting up because you're not out there making policies or you know, vying for policies, and that means everybody in the space would need to shut up, even the person who said it, because what policies is anybody out here really bringing? And I'll land on that.
Well, just to rebuttal that, because I did have my hand up next. I agree with what you were saying. I agree with what you were saying. Get out your feelings. I agree with what you were saying, but I don't have to shut up.
Okay, ladies, one at a time. Trouble. Let Dana talk, and then if you wanna respond, then you can go ahead. But one person at a time, please. Go ahead, Dana.
She can go, but tell her don't quit that get out your feelings shit, cause I ain't with that.
Oh, okay. That's well. Like I say, if you want to respond, everybody, just go ahead and say what you got to say. Don't direct it towards a person or whatever. But please, let's be cordial to everyone and let them speak. And then if you want to respond, you can go ahead and respond. Go ahead, Dana.
Yo, you got to stop pressing the mute button. It's a delay. And what I'm saying is, and it's like I'm not directing what I'm saying to no one, but Martin did. And I said to you, Trouble, I agree with what you were saying. But I am one of the people that do not have to shut up because I am a part of organizations that actually pass public policies where the hell I live at or used to live at in New Jersey. No taxation is another person. Majority of Black people are not organizing. You have to learn to take accountability. And I'm generalizing it. And when I say people need to get out their feelings, stop worrying about, oh, is that person talking about me, blah, blah, blah. If you are specifically talking about me like Mark was, yes, I had you check him and let him know the Black people of Chicago just woke up last week. Let's not get that twisted. We do have a problem here in Black America. We don't have time to sit up here and coddle or, quote unquote, be sympathetic to other groups of people that are coming here. But the fact is that our problem is we are not organizing and we are not taking accountability for things that we have not done over the decades, which is why when you have these illegals coming here or even legal asylum seekers coming here, they put them in our community, they give them resources, they ain't put them on the north side or downtown of Chicago in the white neighborhoods because they're not having it. Those people own their homes and their businesses. You damn sure not gonna see them in the Jewish community because they own their community. Our focus is it should be ownership and organizing for public policy. Nothing in this country, when we're talking about government, moves without public policy. The people that are coming here across that border, people that are coming here overseas, they know that. They study our laws and our public policies to use for their advantage. That's what you're supposed to do in America. You use the government for your advantage and you want less government to stay out your business. We are not doing that. We are welfare recipients because that's how we are physically, mentally acting. That's what I'm talking about. And I was directing that towards Mark because he's worried about my background instead of worrying about the lack of accountability that the Black people of Chicago failed to do for decades. And you were the second city, the blackest city, that ushered in sanctuary cities. So if we're going to keep it a buck and keep it real, take accountability. And then start organizing and pushing public policies. Because that's the only way you're going to see a difference, specifically for Black Americans.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Can I just respond right quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, my bad. I thought you was directing that at me, so I took a little attitude back. At the same time, I would like to say that a lot of us just woke up yesterday, and it took Black America a long time to really wake up and see what was going on around us. At the same time, being from the Midwest, not Chicago, but from the Midwest, a lot of things that happen in our towns, in our areas, we've been screaming out for a long time trying to wake people up about it, but nobody was hearing us. Nobody. And as far as there's some people, yourself and no taxation, that know how to do these things that the rest of us do not know how to do. And it's not like we don't want to do them. A lot of us don't know how to do them. So don't ridicule us. Find a way to teach us. And I'll land on that.
All right. Thank you. You go ahead and get to Black majority state. And Black, I'm going to let you be the last speaker for the night. And we're going to go ahead and close things down. Go ahead, Black.
Okay. Wow, man, this is a riveting conversation, really good conversation. I'll speak to the title real quick.
Shout out DJ, shout out Newstoter, shout out everybody in space. Democrats are hoping to bring in Gaza refugees to U.S. So the goal, I'm gonna probably be saying this for the next decade. The goal is 400 million. They're gonna have to bring in probably 80 to 90 million because there'll be some deaths during that process. So this is the goal, and the Democrats are essentially in control. The president controls that. When it comes to foreign policy, he can let anybody into the country that he chooses. Doesn't really matter what the Republicans think. So should they? No, absolutely not. But will they? Yeah, they'll do whatever they choose to do because they're in power. And that's just is what it is. I think that as Black Americans, we have been under a soft invasion, at least since the early 80s, to be quite honest. And we've kind of gotten comfortable and gotten used to it. The acceleration has kind of perked our ears up a little bit because it is very detrimental to our population. However, on top of everything else that we have to deal with, this is just one more, thing in the fire for us to actually deal with. But I don't think it's going to be from a perspective of us stopping it. I just don't see that. I think the goal is clear, and they're going to do everything that they can to reach their goal. And that's the unfortunate part. But there is some good news. I came up because shout out to Mark Carter, Chicago. I've been in spaces with the brother. I know that he's got decades of political activism, organization in Chicago. And so, I think sometimes we are passionate and we get a little extra passionate. And then, sometimes we just let those emotions take over in a conversation where it's always more beneficial for us to really say, hey, this is my brother, this is my sister. How can I build with this person? Especially in the conversation we're talking about potential jihadists being our next door neighbors because of, Democrat foreign policy or whatever the case may be. I just really want us to really start building connections with each other because as things get increasingly worse, it's going to be important to have those connections regardless of where you're at in the country, regardless of what your history is. As far as politics, I feel like I'm a prodigal son to politics because, for most of my life, I was just enjoying life and I really didn't give a damn about politics. And truth be told, I live a pretty good life that if I just decided tomorrow not to care about politics, I would have a good life until the day that I died. But that's just not the direction that God, the universe, is calling me to. And so as I continue down this journey, this path, I really, really am hopeful that as a collective, that we can just focus on the goals that we set for our population and understand that we are a collective. Doesn't matter where you grew up, where you came from. It's Black America against everybody. And that really should be the mantra at the end of the day. So I'll end on that: Black America versus everybody.
All right, Black, appreciate that. Thank you for coming up. And I guess that's a good stopping point for the space tonight. So let me give a shout out to all the speakers tonight, everybody who came up to the space. Thank you for those who donated on Cash App as well. Too, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check us out. We'll have another good space. So shout out to everybody. You guys take care. Have a good night. And we'll see you tomorrow night. So peace.
Peace.
Good night.
Good night.
And shout out to all my people on YouTube. We'll see you guys tomorrow night around about 8:10. So shout out to you guys. Peace and have a good night.